Hello and welcome to another episode of Behind the Bell. I'm your host, Christine Lee, and joining me today is Michael Goettler, CEO of Viatris. Michael, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Christine. Glad to be here.
So it's not often we see a company such as Viatris created on the scale that it was, and you did it all through a pandemic. And today marks the 1-year anniversary since November 16th, 2020, that you were launched. How is it going so far?
Christine, it's going great. Thank you for asking. I could not be prouder of all 38,000 colleagues of Viatris, of what they have done and accomplished in this first year. And it started with a vision, and it started with a vision during the pandemic, in the middle of the pandemic when we launched, a vision to create a new kind of healthcare company, a healthcare company that's empowering patients worldwide to live healthy at every stage of life, independent of geography, independent of circumstances, and that's passionate to provide access to patients, to high quality medicines for patients that need it. And that's exactly what we've done. And to do that, we've combined the best-in-class capabilities from two legacy organizations, Legacy Mylan and the Upjohn division of Pfizer, to really build that kind of one-of-a-kind company. And integration is going well. We're hitting all the milestones we want to hit, but integrating is more than just combining two companies, get them to work together and create cost synergies. It's creating a stronger company. And I think the results speak for themselves. We just reported our third quarter earnings. I'm pleased to tell you that we have now 3 consecutive quarters of high, strong performance, good results, exceeding expectations, exceeding our own expectations. We're on track to hit all of our financial commitments. We already paid down $1.9 billion in debt. We have a target of 6.5 by the end of 2023. We achieve our synergy targets, $500 million for this year is our plan, $1 billion by the end of 2023. And we're starting to return value to shareholders. We already paid 2 dividends, and we just declared a third dividend, already $260 million returned to shareholders. So the business goes very, very, very strong. And Christine, I think it's also starting to be recognized externally. I'm very happy to say that we were recognized by Fortune magazine on their Change the World list. In fact, we're one of the top 5 companies on that list and recognized for the work we do for HIV and AIDS. And that just shows you how doing good, doing well is part of our mission, but it's also part of our business model, right? And last, I will be remiss to not mention our 38,000 colleagues that every day are passionate, united, getting up for this vision. And they were recognized, or they recognized us by Forbes mentioning us on the 2021 World's Best Employer list. So that's a great recognition. So in summary, it's going great.
It's amazing to hear how you brought that vision to life with all the amazing work that Viatris is doing. Michael, what sets Viatris apart from others?
Because what sets us apart is that we really think we're a company that's built for the future of healthcare. And what do I mean by that? Now, if you look at the pharmaceutical industry over the last decades, they've produced incredible innovation and made an incredible difference in the life of so many patients. But the reality is that that innovation is still not accessible to all the patients that need it. Often the majority of patients that need it can't access it. And that's just not sustainable. That's not a sustainable business model. COVID has only amplified that, and we're a company was born in COVID, right in the middle of COVID, we're born. We have a unique vantage point. So what we set out to do is to build a sustainable business model, a business model for the future, a company that returns value to shareholders and expands access, for patients that really need it. That's what sets us apart. And what are the ingredients you need for that? Number one, we're a global company. We're in 165 countries. We started with over 50 manufacturing sites all around the world. We can think global and act local in many places and make a difference. We have a broad and diverse pipeline, and that's on purpose, the way we put it together. It's not only focusing on a few diseases, but really addressing a broad spectrum of healthcare needs. And the third ingredient, very important one, is we're relentless in our passion to break down barriers and improve access to patients, whether it's scientific barriers, intellectual property barriers, regulatory barriers, marketing, access, policy barriers. We're just relentless about pursuing that. So what sets us apart is that we have the full package. We have all of these 3 combined, and that really makes what we believe a company is ready for the future of healthcare.
Viatris says that it empowers people to live healthier at every stage of life. What do you mean by that?
Because that is our mission. That's what gets 38,000 colleagues every Monday morning up, ready to go to work, be passionate about what we do. And let me give you an example what we mean by that. I already mentioned the Change the World list that we recognized on. That was specifically for our work in HIV/AIDS. And what we've done there over the last 10 years is we make and manufacture ARVs, antiretroviral medicines, and we make them available in low and low mid-income countries. But what we've done is not a charitable giving. That's not a sustainable model. We actually worked with countries, with governments, with other companies, with NGOs, and use the existing market infrastructure that exists to make it part of our business model to provide these medicines, is incorporate in what we do. And the results are undeniable. If you look at not only us, but what other companies have done in terms of broadening access to HIV medication, what the governments and NGOs have done, the mortality of HIV/AIDS in these countries since 2004, when it was at its peak, is down 64%. And that's largely due to the broad availability of these ARV medications. So it's just one example. And we can take that and that spirit, that model, and now apply it also to other parts of our portfolio. For example, to biosimilars, which often in biologic medications, many patients don't have access to biologic medication or complex products. So that's what we mean by our mission. And that's what we live every day, is to empower patients to live healthier and provide access to the medications that they need.
Where have you had the biggest impact so far?
Well, clearly the biggest impact, I have to mention our pipeline of products. And we have a very diverse but increasingly differentiated and innovative pipeline of biosimilars and complex products. And let me just give you a couple of examples to highlight how we're breaking barriers and how we're creating firsts in the industry, because that's what we're passionate about. So this year we got the first ever approval of an interchangeability designation for a biosimilar product. FDA has never done this before. It's a product called Semglee, which is a biosimilar to a product called insulin glargine, or Lantus, the originator product. And we believe it can make a real difference to many, many patients living with diabetes and having access to this important insulin product. And I can tell you, this is personal to me. Over 20 years ago, I was the product manager that launched the original product. And here we are 20 years later, and still not all patients have access that need to have access to this medication. So hopefully we can make a difference here. We also launched the first ever biosimilar to adalimumab, or Humira, an important RA medication in Japan. We just believe are the first to file a biosimilar for a product called Eylea. That's an important eye medication for age-related macular degeneration. And we think we have a chance to be first to market with the first Botox biosimilar. And you may know, Christine, Botox is not only for cosmetic use, actually has some very important therapeutic indications as well. So these are just some examples of first. On the complex side, I want to point out we were the first to get a tentative approval for Symbicort generic. That's a very important asthma medication. Many patients can benefit from that. Or paliperidone, which is an important schizophrenia medication. So these are just some examples. And you see that list of first, just in this year, right, of how we're breaking barriers, could not be done if you don't have an organization that's passionate about breaking those barriers. Scientific barriers, regulatory barriers. Often the regulatory pathway to get these products approved doesn't exist yet. It needs to be worked on in partnership with the regulators. IP barriers, legal barriers, policy barriers. That's what we're passionate about. And I think that's what we're going to have the biggest impact.
It's truly amazing work you're doing over at Viatris. Michael, what trends are you seeing in your industry, and how is Viatris positioned to win?
I've been in the industry for 25 years. And during those 25 years, I've seen personally in my family, with friends, with patients that I met, patients that wrote me letters, with the incredible impact that medicines can make in the life of patients, incredible innovation that the pharmaceutical industry have made. But if that innovation is not accessible to all the patients that need it, and the healthcare disparities are increasing, that's not sustainable. It has to change. And COVID has made it worse. COVID has made it a lot worse. So that's, I think, where we creating a sustainable model, we're really, really making a difference. And that's a trend where Viatris is very well positioned to win, because what do we have? We're a global company. We have we're in 165 countries. We can think global, act local, apply solutions locally. We have that diverse portfolio and the pipeline that's increasingly differentiated. And that's now 75% of the pipeline is in biosimilars and complex generics, which is the area, I think, of higher unmet need in terms of access, where we're going. We have a very well-working global supply chain. Nowadays in the news, every day you read about some kind of supply chain shortage, whether it's toilet paper or microchips. It seems like everything is in short supply these days. As Viatris, we actually have been able to maintain service levels in our supply chain the entire year 2021 that is at or above our historic peak levels. And that's important. Again, these are medicines that patients need. We need to bring them to. And then the fourth one I want to say is, again, we're a company born in COVID. We had to learn to adjust to a new way of working together with each other. We have many colleagues that even though they work together every day, had never had the chance to meet each other in person. But we found ways around it, creative ways to work together. And we can apply those ways of working to our partners, to the way we work with regulators around the world, and really make a difference. So that's, I think, where we're positioned to win.
It's great to hear about the impact you have, especially with that global reach. And Michael, what does year 2 bring for Viatris?
Well, as I mentioned already, we're off to a fantastic start in year 1, and the results show that. 3 strong quarters, hopefully going to finish the year very, very strong. But at the same time, we've been working very diligently on a very robust, bottom-up strategic planning effort to really prepare for the future. And I'm very excited that we're scheduling an investor event in early January, on January 7th, where we're going to lay out that plan. And what we're going to share with the investor community, or anybody who wants to hear it, is a 2-phase strategic roadmap. Phase 1, which is 2021, 2022, and 2023. We're already 1 year into that, right? We're going to lay out very clearly, metrics, financial guidance, targets, and exactly how we're going to achieve the financial commitments that were already made of debt repurchase and returning value to shareholders. That's phase 1. Phase 2 is going to be about what are the catalysts for growth in the future, including how we're going to, our future priorities for capital allocation, including returning value to shareholders and unlocking values in the company that we can for the benefit of shareholders, including our organic opportunities, especially our pipeline, the pipeline opportunities that exist, but also our priorities for inorganic growth and business development and how we look at that and focusing that. So that's what we're going to lay out on that investor event. I really look forward to that. And Christine, I look forward to maybe on our 2nd anniversary, coming back to Behind the Bell and give you another exciting update.
Michael, we look forward to that as well. And congratulations on all the success in year 1. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Christine.
Nasdaq followers, that was Michael Goettler, CEO of Viatris. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Behind the Bell. Stay tuned for more updates. Until next time, we're signing off.